campus. And like Mr. Jones said, my office is literally on that side of the wall in B109. So I did send you guys the information that I'm going to talk about, as well as that flyer. It's got some live links embedded within it. So if you needed to contact me, send an email, that sort of thing, you can always do that to schedule an appointment. And I'm going to send around the roster, just initial next to it, so I kind of get a feel of who I'm talking to. And if I ever needed to follow up, I can do it that way as well. So really, my gig in a nutshell, or what I'm responsible for, is I serve as the connection between student and employers. So I oversee specifically career technical ed programs. So on this campus, that would include the entire ag division, graphic design, welding, and architecture. But with that being said, I'm here to help all students regardless of what their program is, whether that's assisting you guys with creating a resume, sitting down and doing some interview practice or mock interview skills, maybe searching for work experience or internship opportunities, or even sharing volunteer or employer engagement activities. And that can be any number of things. The PowerPoint that I shared with you as well, it may not be specific to your majors, but just here on this campus, and I'm going to speak kind of about ag because that's my big program. We're hosting a large transfer event. So if you're a four-year student considering transfer to the rest of the state, and we're inviting the Jordan College, which is their College of Agriculture. But on that date, we will have transfer counselors both from COS and Fresno State to talk about transfer requirements to a CSU or into the CSU system. So again, not necessarily ag, it is ag specific, but like I said, we are here to serve all students regardless of what your major might be. Another, employer engagement activity might be a job fair. So again, in the spring, we do host a very large job fair for all of our industrial trades programs, as well as agriculture. Last year, we had right around 57 employers and about 200 students, and that was just at the Tulare campus. So first time we did it, we were pretty proud to host something like that finally on this campus for our students. But again, we're open to suggestions, and just to get a feel in the room, who in here is a career technical ed major? What's your major? I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's your major?
Architecture.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyone else? Any welding students? Any ag students? Any of the divisions within our program?
Construction management was following.
That's CT, yeah. So construction. So Jolene, she's my colleague in Hanford. She oversees her big programs of the fire academy and police. My colleague Lisette, she oversees all I&T. So construction would fall under that, HVAC, electrician training.
It just started.
Automotive.
Right?
What's that?
You started a new program up there in Fresno State. Architecture.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I was.
Oh, you were.
I'm sure they already did, but.
Oh, okay, nice. And then my colleague Daisy, she's located at our Transfer and Career Center at the Visalia campus. So her big programs are administration of justice and nursing and allied health programs. And then Liz, she does a bunch of things, but she's located primarily at our Visalia Transfer and Career Center. But like I said, I am here to help you guys, whether it's creating a resume or looking for internship or work experience opportunities. I know for some of your programs, work experience may be a requirement for degree completion, so I can help you guys with placement when it comes to that as well. Any questions?
You said this is an email?
Yeah, I emailed it to everyone on the roster that came around for this class. So you guys
Just like a minute or two.
Yeah. So it's in there. And you guys can schedule appointments with me, that 3122 number. You can call or text it. I receive it as a text message. So if you wanted to request time for an appointment, I generally schedule students in 1 hour blocks. So maybe an hour leading up to your class, or you get out at 5 o'clock. I usually don't stay around till after 5, but it's something that you needed, and we can work around your schedule. I wouldn't mind helping you guys after 5 o'clock.
I know they've had some good stuff that we like some fairs that have happened here with work fairs. People are interviewing, they provided clothes for people that didn't have good clothes for interviewing.
And I'm sorry, I should have included that, and that's a good point. I'm gonna add that in the PowerPoint. Our Giant Threads, it's our mobile professional clothing trailer, and students can go and request a free professional outfit. It's brand new. It is done through our Transfer and Career Center, but it's operated through the COS fashion department. So students are running that trailer, they're fitting students. So you're not just getting a shirt I mean, it is off the rack, but it's not, and, you know, a pair of slacks, you know, for the guys, or, you know, a nice pantsuit for the ladies. So you would get, you know, fitted for that if you had a,
It's very
you know, an
nice.
interview coming up, or, you know, just needed another outfit, for work. And you can request up to one outfit each semester. So we partner with like Macy's, JC Penney, I know Banana Republic. You know, they've donated free outfits to that.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you guys anything.
Yeah, not a matter of sunset, yeah. Okay, yeah, if you guys think of anything, do you have a question?
Is that also non-sales?
You mean non-CTE, or are you a high school student?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you would, because you have a banner, if you have a banner ID, that's how you would request services. But yes. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, guys, like I said, I'm available on the campus, utilize, I mean, I feel like sometimes for services, it's kind of a underutilized, you know, support for our students. But regardless of what industry or what career pathway you're kind of looking into, you know, the opportunities are there, and I can't stress it enough to take advantage of internship support experience while you can.
But that's some good practice for the fashion students too, like doing the fitting for
Oh,
me.
yeah, and we'll post the trailer here at the Tulare campus October the, I didn't screw it up, October the 16th. But we'll closer to the date, we will be pushing out information for that for our students here in Tulare. Okay.
Free threads, can't argue with that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, guys. Again, if you think of any questions or you want to schedule an appointment one-on-one, just right behind you, or you can shoot me an email or a text message.
I'll bring you the list tomorrow,
All right,
or
cool.
when I see you
All
tomorrow.
right, thanks for joining us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, back to what we're doing, let's see. I had for our class, you asked me if we had posted the video. Half that video, or like 2/3 of the video had no audio. So I posted the video from the evening. I did not post the fucking video from the evening. Look at this bullshit. I will post it. I do have it. I meant to. Like I have it for Math 21 class. I'll post the Math 21 class. It's the same orientation kind of thing. And I'll post that. So I didn't do that. My bad. All right, so let's get to starting on our lecture here. This is the calculator I use. I went and bought a graphing calculator when I was a student here, thinking I'm gonna need that shit. You don't need a graphing calculator. Any class that you need to do graphing, they'll show you, teach you how to do the graphing. And now they've got Desmos and shit like that, where you can do Desmos online. You should have one, like if you're going down the STEM sequence, something that does basic arithmetic, has exponents, and then sine, cosine, tangent. You really don't need anything else. Exponents, sine, cosine, tangents. Oh, I guess the log and ln button, those are part of it. But you can get one of these calculators for, I don't know, 10, 12 bucks, and it will literally last you. I have had this since I was a student. So, like, a long ass time. It's been 15, 16 years I've had it, and it's slow powered, turns on just fine, never had a battery. And guess how much use I've gotten on my graphic calculator? I turned it on, I looked through the fucking book, and I put it away, and like, this is too complicated. Graphing calculators are a pain in the ass, especially with Desmos nowadays, being super easy to use. I will show you stuff in Desmos throughout the semester. It's a free online graphing calculator. It's a useful tool in this class when we're doing stuff like that. To look to see what the answer should look like. And we'll talk about when we get there. Today we want to chug through chapter R1 and R2. So we're working on, this is Math 35. This is like the day one of not introduction shit. We're gonna be doing R1, which is on set notation and stuff like that. And we'll do R2 in a bit. Now, I don't know that there's a lot of this shit you were gonna use in chapter R1. But I'm supposed to make sure you've seen it. I'm not really, I don't know if there's anything on here that I'm gonna test you on. We will use intersection, yeah, there is some stuff. It'll pop up. So a set notation, what is a set? A set in mathematics is a collection of, well, this is in general. A set is a collection of objects. That's not just even math, that's everything. So objects in a set are called elements or members. And we use curly braces to identify sets. Now, if you're a mathematics major and you decide to go down like the pure mathematics line, this shit will get pretty important when you transfer. But you won't do a lot with like R1 and like all of COS. Well, a little here and there, but not a whole lot. For sets, order is not important. For example, the set 1, 2, 3 is the same set as 2, 3, 1. Make that look a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Thank you. If we want to say a number is show a number is an element of a set. We use this symbol. This means it is an element of. For example, 1 is an element of 2, 3, 1. Sound fucking hell refreshing, didn't it? So objects not in the set. They pulled the whole Ghostbuster shit, the fucking put a slash through it. Four is not an element of 2, 3, 1. Just get through this first 30, 45 minutes. And then you probably, like, there's a homework assignment on it, but there's, other than that, like, the only thing you're gonna really see here later on is union and intersection. Which is a little bit later. They might throw this terminology every once in a while into the homework, saying something's an element. It's handy to have seen it. We use capital letters to identify sets. Identify or label sets. So I'm gonna say S is the set of all numbers for the first 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First 5 whole numbers. When we have a limited number of elements. I use an example, so maybe I'll just put a box around that. I'll reference S again a little bit. But if there is a limited number of elements. That's how I say number, put in the hashtag symbol. You're gonna see me do that a lot. We say it's a finite set. And next word is one of the most non-intuitive words in fucking mathematics. Because it defies how we use it in all the rest of fucking English language. If there is an unlimited number. We say it is. And I'm gonna spell it, and then I'm gonna say. Infinite. Now, the reason why people are okay with it is because they've seen the word infinite or infinity. Buzz Lightyear says infinity, like it's a word you've heard before. But like. Think of how we use the word in to be the opposite of like complete or incomplete. Operable or inoperable. Things like that, normally we just slap the word in on the word. And just re-say the word, incomplete, complete. This is finite, we don't say infinite. So they changed the pronunciation of it, it's infinite. But. That's that. Some infinite sets have names. N equals 1, 2, 3, 4, ... are called the ellipses. And what it means is keep following the pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, ... Pattern is just keeps adding. So 5, 6, 7, 8. The counting numbers, as you guys know them. And it stands for natural. So the natural numbers. Or the counting numbers. Some textbooks make it a little flashy. You'll see this as well. That's another way of writing it. And I'll pause, I realize I said a bunch there. What?
Right, flexible time.
It, actually, the way I wrote it, that is called tau. It's a Greek letter, but that's not what I was writing. I was trying to write a lowercase t. That's the word you were talking about, right?
Yeah. That's a name for it.
You're just trying to hear steady ways, being all disruptive, right? Luis has been a good student today.
So it has a name for how it's written.
No. Well, T, this like this crazy looking T, it's a Greek letter. It's pronounced out. That is not relevant to this class. In fact, I don't want you to get confused by it. No, fucking just throw it out. The only reason I brought it up is because I wrote the lowercase t funny. And he asked about it. I realized that's probably not helpful. We will talk about some other sets in the name sets in the next section, R2. But there's something called set builder notation. I fucking hate it. You will see like an example of this. I'm just gonna write the example and then I'm gonna explain what it means. And then end brace. Okay. So. The way this is read, this little X right here. That part right there means the set of all elements X. This is how it's read. Set of all elements X. And then the vertical bar means such that. And then the right side really just means exactly what it says. That's too many E's. Yeah, it's fucking wordy, isn't it? The set of all elements X such that X is a fraction between 0 and 1. So some examples are. Like, this one is an unlimited set, even though 0 and 1. Are numbers that, whole numbers that are numbers that touch. F can be 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5. I could keep following that pattern on forever. And then I could do, there's also things in there with like 2/3, 2/5, 2/7, and all the little numbers that have a numerator of 2. There's an infinite number of elements in F. And since there's no real like pleasant way of writing all the fractions between 0 and 1. Like, I can't write this enough. I can't give enough examples by hand. So they write it out worse. X is a fraction between 0 and 1, and they let the math person in you run with it. I'm not going to use set builder notation again, period. I don't like it. It's confusing to read, takes a while to like, really? But you've seen it. Ready for more? Does anyone need this up longer? You do say so, otherwise I'm turning it now. All right, so get rid of that set builder notation. U is an important set, it's the universal set. And it contains all the elements appropriate to a situation or group. So like for a non-math example, the class roster is a universal set of students in this class. That doesn't necessarily mean you apply to numbers. You'll see this pop up if you take stats or anything like that. You'll see things like Uh, each of the 52 cards in the deck of cards, the standard playing deck. Is a universal set. So it has all the stuff that you need. It has all the cards. The opposite of having all the cards would be having none of the cards. And I'll write out what that is in a second. People are still writing this because it's pretty wordy. You know who's writing this down thoroughly? Major. It's like, I'm gonna need this shit. You're gonna take, if he doesn't take pre-calc B with me next semester, I don't even know if I'm teaching next semester. I'll tell the next math teacher, Jones was talking shit about like set notation stuff, he was clowning. He was talking shit about math, you guys should take him out. Alright, so a set with nothing in it. With no elements. Is called, we have a couple names for it. The empty set is one of them. Or the null. And sometimes they say null by itself, and sometimes they add the word set after it. So like U is the symbol for universal set, the symbol for the empty set or the null set. We have a couple ways of doing it. We can write a 0 with a bar through it. Or we do a set of curly braces that has nothing in it. But we don't write both, but not the curly brace with that in it. If Luis goes on and takes another math teacher, he goes into pure math and walks into set notes like set theory class later on, and he puts some shit like that to go make fun of him. He's like, where'd you go to school? So sometimes sets are completely within another set. We call these subsets. And the symbol we use looks like a flattened C with a line underneath it. So for a little example for you, remember we had S was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And N was 1, 2, 3, 4, ... kept going. We can say S is a subset of N. And just like we had the bar, the vertical bar crossing it off saying not. I would say N is not a subset of S. This works if the sets are equal to. One example would be saying S is a subset of S. Or using the other set we did earlier, 1, 2, 3 is a subset of 2, 3, 1. It seems stupid to me, right? They're the same, why would you even bother saying this? But you know those math people, you can't trust them, they do crazy shit all the time. Right? Except you can trust Hefe. He'll tell you when shit's stupid. He's honest. And one more thing in this crazy shit. The empty set is a subset of every set.
So,
It's a subset of the it's a subset of S, it's a subset of N, it's a subset of the universal set. So the universal set is just like it requires a specific scenario. Like we just talked about numbers in general. It's kind of hard to say like a universal set of numbers. It's like all rational and irrational numbers and complex numbers. Like there's a lot of shit going on there. All right, ready for more? Nope, CC pin's gone. Are we having fun yet? Goddamn liars. I hate that this is the first lecture and I gotta put it off till like, I do that in the future. Just do like start with R2 and like do this shit later on. So the first lecture isn't like tedious vocabulary. It's kind of entertaining watching Jones talk shit about other math teachers though.
I always.
I haven't said anything bad about Luis today. Been very quiet. I do keep mentioning him because he's the only one of you poor unlucky bastards is gonna see all this shit again later on. Unless you go the applied math route, that's what Hefe did. That's the good shit. That's astrophysics, that's how airplanes fly, that's engineering, that's all that good shit. All right. So something hopefully you've seen before, Venn diagrams. So with the S and the N that we've been doing, and we'll put U in there, the universal set. S was inside of N, so the way we draw that is I put S inside of S in a little circle, and that goes in a bigger circle that has an N. That's the Venn. It's fucking stupid. Right? Exciting? And then if I were to put a universal set, that goes like all of that's inside that. That's a basic Venn diagram. This is a lame Venn diagram. Your basic. I'm gonna give you a couple of number sets and draw a picture for the Venn diagram next. We'll talk about a bunch of shit. So we're gonna say A is the set 1, 2, 3, 4. And B is the set 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I draw a Venn diagram and I just start listing numbers. Putting them in a pattern here because I'm going to try to group them together with circles. That was my A group. This was my B group. I'm going to start with the idea of the intersection of groups. Use an upside down capital U as our notation. So if I want to say, where does A intersect B? Yes, if you've drawn the picture of the Venn diagram, it's pretty easy. It's in both circles. So pictorially, this is easy. As long as your Venn diagram's done right. I don't think there's an I right there. I think you spell pictorially like this. Fuck. Maybe I should just say graphically. I know how to spell graphically. Let's do that. Fuck all that. Graphically.
I think you had it right the second time.
I think I did too, but it was looking funny for a second.
Yeah.
And so rather than like, I know I got this one right. Hey, I'm fucking teaching math. I'm not an English major. I've done really well. I do well at English. Gotten over $250,000 in scholarships as a student. Part of that's being good at math, but you don't get money. People don't give you scholarships unless you talk them out of their money. And to do that means you gotta go with words, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that's
Purpose.
right. I'll give you $20 if you'll give me a scholarship for $20. Fucking, that's a wash. All right, so that's how we do it. If you're gonna do it by looking at the numbers, I recommend just going through and looking at one group and going, is it in the other? 1 is not in B, so I didn't write it down. 2 is not in B, so I didn't write it down. 3 and 4 were, so I wrote it down. And once I got to the end, I don't need to look at the other group anymore. That's the way of doing it. So that's the intersection of groups. This is opposed to the union of groups. Or union of sets. I should have said sets, but I said groups. Oh, well, fuck it. Union sets, we use a U, but it tends to be kind of wide. It's like a wide capital U. And there's no like little tail on the end of the U. So the union sets, so this includes all numbers that are in either set. A union B is, it has all the numbers in A. And we don't then we put all the numbers of B, but if we've already written the numbers of B, we don't repeat it. So B's got a 3 and a 4. I'm not gonna read the 3 and 4 again, because I already got them. We'll put 5 and 6. Oh, this is for Louise. A union B is a set of all X such that X is in A or X is in B. There's your, I'm gonna be a math major, set builder notation. Everyone else, tell that to go fuck off and don't write it down.
So, on the top. It's not very.
You're easy.
Wait, what?
On the top, in the blue. Focus.
Graphically, very easy. So I didn't make the note of it, but I should here, the intersection of groups, it's numbers in both groups. And Luis, just for you, if you want to show the set builder for the intersection, it's the exact same shit as this, but this changes to and rather than or. If you care. I hope not. I hope you go for applied math. Those chumps that do pure math are exactly that. Alright, does anyone need this up longer? Oh, well, I'm only part of it. I do want to talk about one more thing, and that's the complement of sets. So I've got this A and this B up here. I'm gonna say this is my universal set. So the way we write the complement of A. And it's not spelled like you're paying someone a compliment. That would have an I right here, it's got an E right here. The complement of A is written like this. We either put an A with a C. And some people do like, or A star. You even might see some fools do A prime. But AC is the one I would use. Like the C kind of tells you what it is. It reminds you of the complement. Because it starts with C. And what this is. It's. Every element. In U. That is not. In A. So, if you got the picture, just look for numbers outside the circle. Elements outside the circle A. And we can see from our picture. That there are only two numbers that apply, 5 and 6. There's only one more definition word in this section. Sets with no elements in common. Are called disjoint sets. And that'll be the end of R1. We can take a 5-minute break if you guys want to use the bathroom. And then we'll hit R2. Pause this video. So R2 is on real numbers and their brackets. So real numbers go by R and they tend to make it like a funky R. And like without listing them, because it's kind of hard to list. And without trying to avoid the set builder notation, it's just like every point on a number line is on the number line is a consistent or easy way of saying it. We talked about n was the natural numbers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and onward. Whole numbers. Have a 0 with the natural numbers. Yeah, see, this is how you fuck with these. Luis, do you know how to count to 10? I said 5 minutes and it's been 10. Integers. We start with 0, we have the positive numbers going to the right. And we have negative numbers going to the left. Couple more categories. We have our rational numbers. It has the word ratio in it, which means fraction. All the numbers that can be written as a fraction. So one way of looking at it is P over Q. Where P over Q, P and Q are integers. And Q does not equal 0. This includes whole numbers, because we can put a 1 on the bottom. This includes all the integers. If we put a 1 on the bottom, we still have rational numbers there. We wouldn't write integers as a fraction, but we can. So for like example, -3 is the same thing as -3 over 1. So it's rational. That is an and sign. Good question. It's the ampersand.
What did you say? Like,
What?
what did you say, like 5 seconds ago? While you're writing the.
So like we can do write any of these numbers here divided by 1. And they're still rational numbers. Like we generally wouldn't. Like -3, there's very few reasons to write -3 over 1, but we can. And since we can, it's in the rational number category.
Oh, but it can only be rational.
For the rational number category, yes. The other category is the numbers that are not rational. And those are called the irrational. Cannot be written as a fraction. Or ratio. The ones that you guys will see the most in this class. We will see pi. The letter E. Even though these look like characters, these are both numbers that we will use this semester. All of your square roots that aren't perfect squares, like square root of 2, square root of 3. Square root of 4 is a perfect square, so it doesn't work. Square root of 5. those are kind of like in this category. And then any of your non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. Which I don't know, like that last little bit. I don't know if you'll see any of them in this class other than pi and e. That is spelled pi, pi. The short two to two decimal places, that is 3.14. And e to two decimal places is 2.71, I think. Every March 14th, universities and places around the country. Some of them celebrate Pi Day. March 14th is 314. And some of them will have like actual like math events and pi recitations. Where people will recite as many decimal places as pi as they can remember. That's some fucking crackhead shit. I've attended one of those, did participate. I got like 5 or 6 decimal places, that's it. After that, it's longer than a fucking phone number, no. I've seen people go like 500 numbers. Like the judges have like sheet after sheet after sheet of fucking pi to like, I don't know, 10,000 decimal places, because most people aren't gonna remember past that. And people get on stage and they'll read them, and the judges are just going along and seeing if the person says it. And the person is supposed to go slow enough so that the judge can keep track. And they count how many decimal places that the person can say. They get prizes and shit for the person that can do the longest. It's crazy. COS does not do that I know of. If we did, I'd make fun of the math department. All right, so kind of pictorially with a Venn diagram for this shit. We had our natural numbers like here. And the whole numbers were the natural numbers within 0. So like whole. I'm doing squares, I guess I could do circles. The whole numbers were part of the integers. The integers are part of the rational numbers. Then we have our irrational numbers. And that's your real numbers. There is 2 other sets of numbers that we will have eventually in mathematics. The imaginary set of numbers. And then complex combines real and imaginary. But that's another day, another dollar. All right, okay, now this is like math. I don't feel like this like we've done any math yet. So algebraic expressions. Combine numbers and variables by basic operations. Like your plus, your minus, your multiply, your divide. That looks like a percent. Let's make it look like a divide. Doing exponents. Which includes the roots, but you don't know them as that yet. Roots are just fractional exponents. We'll do that eventually. As a quick reminder, what exponents are. An example is 2 to the 3 power. That bad boy up there is called the exponent. It's elevated superscript. Number is called this number down here is called the base. And it means take the base and multiply together as many times as the exponent. So multiply exponent number of times. If our exponent is n, multiply it n times. So 2 with a 3 up top is an 8. Couple bits of jargon with exponents. A with the 2, say is a squared. And it's related to the area of a square. A with a 3, we call it a cubed. Because this is a volume of a cube. We'll do more stuff with that later. And any other number up there with like an n, we say a to the nth power. So we wouldn't say a to the second power, we say a squared. We don't say a to the third power, we say a cubed. Any other exponent up there, like with a 4, we will say a to the fourth power. And some teacher or some people, when they're used to doing math, they may not say the word power. They might just say a to the nth. And the power is implied. That's generally when they're only talking to other math people. Luis will be in this category at some point if he's not there already. Nothing. You'll be a math geek someday. Hey, geeks are in. Fucking Superman's a geek. That's no shit. Superman plays Warhammer and all sorts of video games, Witcher. He plays fucking, he gets on the Warhammers like miniatures and shit.
Like the only one that can afford them too.
Right? Did you buy that? Well, now it's gotta be warm. What the fuck? Why would-
No, but it's an energy drink and I don't wanna drink it like back then, you know?
Yeah, it's better to wait till 5:30. That's a great time to fucking have an energy drink. Have fun trying to go to sleep tonight. All right, you guys ready for more? Oh yeah, we got a lot more. So. Order of operations. Before I do that, one more quick blurb on exponents. -1 squared is not the same thing as -1 squared. Like that, with parentheses around one of them. This one means -1 times -1. This side means -1 times 1. I guess this does go under order of operations. The rule for multiplying and dividing negatives. Is count them. Count them up. If there is an even number of them, the outcome is positive. And if there's an odd number, the outcome is negative. And I will stop talking and let you guys write that down and get caught up before we continue. Got a million types of energy drinks nowadays. You knew that by looking at the fucking can? How many energy drinks do you drink?
It does say it on there, it says it's pretty.
Oh, it's pretty big, okay.
I used to work at GCC, so I have a ton of critical facts.
At GNC,
So
that's pretty fucking cool.
I was gonna major in kinesiology at one point, but I don't like science. So, maybe not.
Wait, what's your major?
Construction.
Yeah, that's a science, right? Not science as we call it science, but the building shape.
Yeah,
It's engineering, applied engineering. Engineering is science.
the science for kinesiology, it has to do a lot with like where nursing is at.
Yeah.
Looking at
Biology,
Yeah,
human
but-
anatomy.
Physiology.
bunch of stuff.
All right, so let's apply this odd, the even odd thing to this shit right here. There were two negative signs, 1, 2. That's an even number. So the outcome is positive, 1 times 1 is 1. Here, there's an odd number of negative signs. So the answer here is -1. Does everyone know the difference between even and odd? If you don't and don't want to say it, fucking Luis says he doesn't know. So for Luis, for those that don't know, don't recall, even numbers are evenly divisible by 2. Which means the last digit is a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. Now you know. The odd numbers are the complement of the even numbers. Odds end in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. You never know. Luis was cracking a joke when he said it, but someone in here might not have been comfortable with it and may not want to said it. So like, we'll let Luis's little jackass remark fucking be useful for someone in the class. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. You're not in here because you know everything. If Luis knew everything, he wouldn't fuck be in this class. All right, so order of operations. PEMDAS. Now, some of you may have heard the phrase, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is the way they like to teach it to children. Does anyone in here have a fucking Aunt Sally? I don't. You know what I do have though? I have a dumbass sibling. Please excuse my dumb ass sibling. That's what hefe is. Siblings are brothers or sisters. That's a handy mnemonic for remembering P, the E, the M, the D, the A, the S. P is for parentheses. This includes any grouping stuff. When you got enough parentheses, you get tired of fucking seeing parentheses. So people will use like brackets, the absolute value bars, shit like that will show up in there. These are grouping symbols.
The curved ones are not part of that.
Curly braces can be. I don't ever use them, but you might find someone that fuck. Now you're fucking up my ride over here, Jimmy. I don't use them because like they're used to indicate sets, and I don't like. There's already enough confusing shit in this fucking class that I don't like to do. But I guess someone could. E is for exponents. M is for multiplying. D is for dividing. A is for adding. And S is for subtracting. Now, both multiplying and dividing and addition and subtraction, these two, they have the same priority, so they go left to right. Fuck you laughing at, Louise? Yeah, fucking pick and making fucking inappropriate meme about Hefe. Fucking catch his ass, give him that. I don't like giving students F. I will. Don't think that my regret and compassion will interfere from me doing my job. The grade you get will be the grade you earn. You want charity, go to fucking like Salvation Army, they do charity shit, don't they? Alright. So let's just go through them, do some examples. Example. 12 divided by 4 plus 3 squared times 2. From now on, this is how I'm going to show multiplication with a dot. It's about halfway up. Not like a decimal. You might find it handy to write out P, E, M, D, and A, S, and cross them off as you're doing it. The reason why I'm going to use a dot is we are very, very soon going to be using X for variables, and X is a very common variable used in algebra. It seems pretty fucking dumb. This was a very poor choice by mathematicians a long fucking time ago. Because we teach kids to use X for multiplication, and then as soon as they're done with fucking arithmetic, what do? We make it the first fucking variable that they use. Why? We already use it for something. But we do, that's what it is. And I could try to teach you a different system, but then you will never be able to talk to anybody else in any part of the other part of the world and be treated with any form of respect. So, like X is a variable. So we have no parentheses here, so I'm gonna cross off my P. I do have an exponent here, so I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna write down everything else that isn't changing first. 3 squared is 9. That's 9. I strongly recommend when you're doing it and you're writing your, like, doing your homework out on paper, write down every step. That way, like, if you don't, you will fucking miss something. You try to go too fast. Luis is nodding. He's done this shit. He's gone too fucking fast. Like, I know this shit and done fucked it up. I know. I've done it. All right, we're done with the exponents. Cross that shit off. We're looking for multiplication and division, and we go left to right. Division happens first. So I will leave the 9 times 2 alone. And I will do 12 divided by 4. It's 3. So even though M comes before the D, multiplication and division are on the same priority. So like division left to right is happening before multiplication. Then I have multiplication, so I'll do that. I got 3 plus 9 times 2 is 18. That's done. We can finally add them together and get 21. As long as multiplying and dividing are separated by a plus or minus, you can do them at the same time. And what I mean by this, that is this. I will rewrite that line right here. There is a plus here that is separating that division and that multiplication. So rather than like doing one thing at a time like that, I can do the 12 divided by the 4 is 3, and the 9 times the 2 is 18, and do it all in one step. That just saves you some writing and speeds you up. They have to be separated by multiplication or addition or subtraction. All right, let's kick it up. 7 plus 2 cubed, all that divided by 9 minus 2 times 3. Now, that's a fraction bar. Fraction bars These come with unshown parentheses. And I will show them. We put the shit on top, all done first, and we do the shit on bottom, all first. But usually they don't show the parentheses. I need to make an announcement for it, on Saturdays. I will be in the Mesa Center on the Visalia campus from 9 to 12. I'm like opening it up. Gonna host like math time for any student that wants to do some math shit. It's open up not just to my classes, but any of the students going to school. We'll see who shows up. It is Saturday morning from 9 to 12. But I'll send out an announcement about it if you guys want like to come do some problems or work on your homework with Hefe just sitting around. It's not a bad spot to do it. As long as you live locally. I would drive from say Exeter for some shit like that, but. All right, so if we're gonna do these things, we gotta do the top and bottom separately because they have parentheses. PEMDAS. So on the top, we're looking for exponents first. The exponent, there is one on top. So this will become 7 plus 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So that comes 7 plus 8 on top. And the bottom is still 9 minus 2 times 3. That deals with the exponents. Multiplication, there's no multiplication on top. There is multiplication on bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. And then we do adding and subtracting. 7 plus 8 is 15. 9 minus 6 is 3. That covers adding and subtracting within the parentheses. And we finally finish it off. 15 with the fraction. This is the same thing as saying 15 divided by 3. So a fraction bar means division. This is 5. I never fucking wrote 21 earlier, did I? Yeah, I did up there. Any questions? Another quick idea that we will do more on Wednesday. Fuck, I don't even remember what days the shit is. Evaluating algebraic evaluating algebraic expressions. So we will start off, we'll have if x equals 2, y equals -1, and z, which I write with a crossbar on it, separate from my 2's, z equals -4. Our goal is going to be evaluate -4x minus 2y squared minus 3z. Evaluate is math jargon. For. Plug that shit in and simplify. Reduce. Or simplify. So if I have a negative 4x minus 2y squared minus 3z. I'm going to replace my x with a 2. Since x equals 2, that's what I'm putting there. I'm going to use parentheses. Then I've got minus 2. Y is negative 1. I'm gonna put that in parentheses. And then I have minus 3 times c. And that'll go in parentheses. At this point, it becomes an order of operations thing. So order, we got P, M, D, A, S. There's no actions inside the parentheses, so we'll just leave it alone. If we do have an exponent, we will address that. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. That deals with the exponents. Now, even though they're unlisted, when you have a number against the parentheses, there is an unshown multiplication thing here. So 3 parentheses 2 is the same thing as 3 times 2. So with that in mind, I've got negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And negative 3 times negative 4. There's 2 negatives, so it's going to make it positive. And 3 times 4 is 12. Now we go finish doing them together. Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. We still have the 12. This is the same thing as putting them in the opposite order, 12 and negative 10. Which is 12 minus 10, which is 2. So you are, with addition, allowed to change the order around, but make sure you take the signs with it. And rather than trying to slip something else in the last 5 minutes, I'll just say get the fuck out. Unless you've got questions. Anyone have any questions?
Why get
Because if I did this, it's gonna, that really says negative 1 times 1. Which is negative 1.
Yeah, but like, what, is there like a rule? Like, I know it changed the value, but I'm saying like, what if it is with it attached to the.
Because the square applies to everything that's part of y. It applies to the 1 and it applies to the negative. That's just notationally how we show it applying to both.
That's why I see ones that have to get.
Like I can. No, I can't. We wouldn't show, we wouldn't go negative squared, one squared. So there's like, that's bad, so we wouldn't do that.
So when it's -1 squared, it's just attached to the one, not the negative.
Yeah, like we showed on. Way back there. On that one, it's just the square attached to the one, not the negative. Good question. Anybody else?
You said, homework is open to start already, right?
Yeah,
So it's. Segregate or?
no, it's
Pearson.
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 In fact, the homework for the entire semester is up. It's available if you're one of those, I like to work ahead, go get it.
So, starting next week, I have.
Yeah, leave early, that's fine. If there's days you have to miss, I do recordings, you can look later.
Wait, really? Oh, that-
Yeah, so you do it quiet,
No senior.
you don't stomp out and go, later bitches, don't do that, but yeah.